Hi, everyone. We were just having a little dance party backstage. My name is Julie Roth-Novak. I'm the CEO and co-founder of PartySlate. I'm so excited for this session. I have some incredibly creative event design, inspiration leaders with me today. And our topic is how to add these personal touches for an Instagram-worthy event. And we know we're not creating events for Instagram or for PartySlate, but there's certainly an opportunity to engage people with your incredible work by capturing those special, unique moments that tend to drive engagement on Instagram and on PartySlate too. So for those of you who are new, this is a very popular session. My panelists should know. We have a lot of new people. If you couldn't join us earlier today, I apologize. We did have a little Wi-Fi issue with Colin Cowie. We're going to have another session with him in January where his Wi-Fi will be fixed. So I apologize for that. But we've had a great day today, a great day yesterday. PartySlate is a platform where people can get inspired, find new ideas, and connect with the best local event professionals, such as our panelists today. So without any further delay, I'd love to just introduce our panel. Starting with Rachel Rosenberg. I would love for you to tell us a little bit about For Your Party and how you got started in the events industry, and tell us a little bit about your background.
I'd love to. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. So For Your Party, I've been there for about almost 2 years now, and I do their social media and PR, and I kind of got started, in just PR in general. I've been doing PR for what feels like 15 years, but is probably only 9 or something. And did it in the music industry and wanted to get to a smaller party. And these are smaller parties, and I love them just the same.
That's great. And thank you, by the way, for being our swag bag partner. For the first 200 people that registered, they got some really fun PartySlate merchandise. And I know my kids were really excited. So we love it. So thank you for doing that.
Of course. Yeah. I hope everybody who gets one enjoys it.
Awesome. And Jennifer from Be Floral, we're obsessed with your work and your Instagram. And you have so many fans over at PartySlate. Tell us a little bit how you got into the events industry and about your background.
Sure. So I'm the Senior Vice President at Be Floral, Design and Production. I started my career in sales, unrelated to events, and then found myself working at a flower shop. Learned a lot about smaller events there, and through a little turns here and there, ended up at Be Floral when we were only 4 people. We have grown. It'll be 6 years that I've been with Be Floral in March, which is crazy. So yeah, we're founded in the basis of branding. Our founder, Bronwyn, that's really where she wanted to take the company. So we work with a lot of corporate companies on their product launches and Instagrammable events.
Yeah, your corporate events are incredible. We call it inspired corporate. So it's the kind of corporate events that, very social media friendly, almost like a form of advertising. And we love those events. So Michelle Norwood from Michelle Norwood Events, huge fan. We love working with you and your team. Tell us a little bit about how you started in the events industry and your company.
So I actually started in the event industry. I worked for a corporation that did not believe in event planners. And so they needed someone to plan an event, and I raised my hand, and I realized I loved doing events more than the job they were paying me to do. So the little light bulb went off. And so I stayed with that company for 12 years before starting my own company. My background is actually in accounting. So it was a great transition from accounting to working events and handling budgets. But yeah, about Michelle Norwood Events, we started in 2015, and we focus on activations, brand launches, and weddings.
Amazing. Rebecca, last but not least, belle of the ball. Again, I loved our little dance party before here, so thanks for getting everyone going. Tell us a little bit about your background and your amazing company.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca. I'm based out of Houston with Belle of the Ball. My background, I started in events at Disney World. I worked as an intern in their fairy tale weddings. And then I moved on to do events in the theme parks. And so I've always been in events. I was there 9 years and then moved back to Houston to be close to my family and worked at a country club where I met the previous owner of Belle of the Ball. And then 2 years ago, purchased the company and 9 amazing, wonderful, lovely planners that are watching. So shout out to my girls, the Bells. And yeah, so that's Belle of the Ball.
I love, starting at Disney, the masters of branding and experience. Wow, what a great background to have for the role and the company you're building. And it's amazing. So just to get it started, also, I forgot to say in our chat, I know it's kind of lighting up. A lot of people have already said, tell us where you're calling in from. I was going to say zooming in from, but we're using a new platform. We have gotten people today and yesterday from not all over the US, but all over the world. People are joining this conference. So one silver lining for PartySlate is when this pandemic started, we really wanted to help the industry. So we started doing digital education, free sessions every single week. Week 35, I think this is week 36. Our amazing team has brought great inspiration, geeky like SEO, social media topics. And the culmination of all this is our 2-day main event. So thank you guys for being here. Just to get the ball rolling, so to speak, on Instagram, tell us a little bit about when you're creating these events and how do you think about creating an Instagrammable moment? Again, early days, it was like, oh, it's the bathtub with the champagne. And I think it was very like, oh, there's your Instagram moment. What I'm seeing now, it's like Instagram experiences or just experiences in general really integrated into the entire event, which I'd love to see. So Jennifer, why don't you start and tell us a little bit about how you think about that opportunity?
Sure. So like I mentioned before, everything we do is based in branding, whether it's a private event or a corporate event. So the first thing is thinking about what is your event about and what do you want to portray to the people who are not at the event, which I think has been a really big pivot. Events used to be, it's about the attendees and it still very much is, but it's about what is this going to look like on Instagram for the millions of people that are going to see this that aren't there. So we want to figure out the purpose of your event. Is it a new product? Is it, do you have, and we'll see, I know you're going to share some photos later, are you launching a new brand of alcohol and it has different fruit infusions? So how can we pull that into the moment? So there's something really unique for somebody to get in front of. And I think also it's important that it's a pretty background because at the end of the day, someone's taking a picture typically of themselves. Yes. More so than just the moment. Yes. So what does that person look like in there? Are they going to want to take a picture with whatever you've produced? So that's really how we start the juices flowing is what is the purpose? What is the why of your Instagrammable moment? Not just balloons are pretty, let's do balloons.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And what you said is so important, and we're seeing that too, is that these brand launches or corporate focused events, understanding what message, what you're trying to portray and integrating that because it is a form of advertising or promotion or almost PR when you get hundreds of people taking selfies or taking pictures or professional pictures against your backdrop or your experience. So I really do think, people say, oh, are we going to all go virtual and corporate? We're not going to, as much as I like virtual, we're going to layer it on top of, in-person experiences because it's the social media amplification cannot be ignored. I mean, my girls are on TikTok all day saying, I want that jacket. I want this. I want that. I'm like, oh my God, what has the world come to? It's crazy. So Michelle, I want to turn it over to you and then I'm going to share after we go around. How are you thinking about the Instagram / opportunity to bring people in to get to know your company and the experience?
So for me, it starts at the entrance. When we are producing an event and we're designing it on paper, we want the entrance to get people excited. We want people to be at the entrance and stop to take those pictures because what we've designed outside is just going to amplify once you get inside. So recently we did an event with Roof Cleek, and when guests entered, there were these huge balloons from Roof Cleek all over. And guests, we couldn't even get them inside. They were just standing outside taking pictures. And so just having moments like that where it's it looks so great in person, but once you get those photos from the photographer, everything that we've done, it just amplifies it. And then once it gets on Instagram, it's just next level. But just making sure all of those details are there, not skimping on anything, making sure when you when you're designing it out, like you include every possible scenario that'll just make it great for the guests and also great for Instagram.
That's great. I love that. I know I've seen people in front of parties that are really fabulous. Like you kind of have to like usher them in, like, okay, you've been here, now go into the party. That's great. I mean, people are even in LA are saying these movie premieres, it's all about the red carpet now. And so budgets are going to the red carpet and less so inside because of the huge media amplification of those red carpets. So yeah, it's so true. I love a good entrance. Rebecca, yeah, tell us how you're thinking about this.
I'm going to parlay off of Jennifer and Michelle, but I think you need those FOMO moments, right? You want people on Instagram looking at your page going, oh my God, I'm missing out. You know, like, I think that's what we're all striving for, are those moments that grab people and they wish they were there and they want to be at your next party. And so I think that's what we want.
Absolutely. And they want to be at your next party, or they want the thing that's in that photo, or that, you know, I know the Kardashians are genius at this. Like, again, my teenage girls are like, they have to get the Kylie lip kit and they have to, and, you know, they did an event for 10 people, but it looked so fabulous. Like, they want to be part of the excitement, which is amazing. Rachel, you guys early on really jumped in on, you know, the experiential around PPE and masks and other things. How do you guys think about the social media opportunity for your company?
Well, I think just in regards to the PPP, things that we've integrated into our business, which would be, you know, our disposable face masks, which have been getting a lot of love, and our hand sanitize bottles and our hand sanitizing wipes. Thank you. I think, you know, they're just as important to brand a company event as it is to brand yourself and to own your own event. And when that's your wedding, I think it's important to be able to customize and make sure you know, have everything in order in the way that you want it, in a safe way that isn't scary. This time doesn't have to be scary, and I think that's what we're enjoying about it, is these masks are getting people together, and it's safer, and it's so cute also. No more.
It doesn't have to be the sterile, you know, blue and white masks. No. It can be branded. I was invited to a 40th birthday party where she hand delivered these like floral masks with like a straw that, you know, you can drink through through the mask. Amen. And it was just so cute. I mean, this is the day we want to be together, even if it's 20, 30, 40 people. If this is what we need to do, we're gonna wear those beautiful masks.
Exactly. And in the pictures, they'll look much better because you guys will all be matching.
Yeah, you need to have matching masks.
Matching.
So I'm gonna share my screen really quickly, and I know many people are really excited to see some of these details that you're talking about. And maybe Rachel, let's start with you. I'm on the right page, correct? Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. So let's start with this one.
Slowly.
Okay, there's a little bit of a delay. So Rachel, okay, For Your Party has done some incredible events. You shared some of your favorite kind of Instagram moments of some of the stuff you've done.
Yes.
I love this image here. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we're looking at?
Yeah, you know, in as much as someone brands themselves, there's nobody that knows the importance of aesthetic and branding better than an influencer in today's world. So this one happened to be an influencer. She's lovely. Her name's Katie. And they had this gorgeous monogram actually designed by an artist. So they were able to load it onto pretty much everything at their wedding, including their dance floor, including their cups, including their matches, everywhere. And that's the kind of repetition that when you get those photos back, it's such an Instagrammable, transported event.
Beautiful, beautiful photos.
And you're seeing some of those masks now.
Yeah, and I think that I love that these smaller events, you can really have those personalized moments, because there are things you can't do for 300-person events that are not as easy. even down to individual guests getting personalized content. Oh, I love this.
See, and what I loved about her 22nd birthday, now her name is Kennedy Cassidy. And what I loved about this was obviously it's luxe. That's her theme. It doesn't need to be a theme. It could just be a vibe. And for me, this vibe was so luxe, so gorgeous. And I loved that even though everything was painted as luxe and gorgeous, they were able to integrate our 1 ounce hand sanitizer and our gorgeous black and gold to create that, you know, similar feeling of I'm dripped in gold, but I'm also taking care of myself. And her baristas wore the the masks as well. And I think that kind of just painted there
we go.
I love that photo.
Yeah.
And they look like a part of the party. It's branded for her. And she's not a corporation, and it's lovely. And she'll have those memories, and it was definitely an Instagrammable moment from the moment you walked in the door.
And I know everyone loves the pool shot. I don't know if you guys can see my screen, but that always just seems to be very popular on Party Slate.
Yeah, so this is one that we love. So this is obviously not safe for work, but it is for Jesse Tyler Ferguson from Modern Family, where he and his partner had just a really amazingly fun baby shower. And along with the phrase, the beef just got real, they had a lot of really great imagery that just popped over and over again. And I think that repetition is something that's really important when you're thinking about an Instagrammable event. So we provided this really cute little diaper that was on their custom napkins and all over. And if I could have been invited to this event, let me tell you.
I was going to say, you don't get to go to all these events, do you?
I wish. This one had a synchronized swimming team that did an entire choreographed routine to the songs of Britney Spears. So,
and for those of you who are asking, this is an idea slate. So when you find things you like on Party Slate, you can just click the heart and you can save it to a custom idea slate, and then you can actually share it with people you're planning your events with. So. Of course, you can save to Pinterest if you want to, but we've tried to make it really easy to save to Party Slate. So I love these details. And Jennifer, I'm going to jump over to you and we'll come back to you, Rachel, with more details. But I'd love to hear more about your Instagrammable moments and some of the most successful things that you've created for your events.
Absolutely. So I think if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I would say this one we hear a lot about.
We've shared this on Party Slate, and people love the show so much, and they love this floral wall.
Everybody loved it, and I think this kind of shows the balance between something that is branded, something that is branded from not just the logo perspective, but the color, and just this one the kind of the lush floral. Although there's floral in our name, you'll see we do a lot that doesn't even include floral, but this is one that was clearly all floral and was branded from a logo perspective, was branded from a vibe perspective. And so this one, I would say we get tons of inquiries. People sometimes just email us and want to know about it. They're not even interested in having it for an event. They're just like, I love this. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I think people at our in our editorial team are like, why didn't we get invited to this event? It looks so amazing.
I feel the same way. I don't get to go to all of these either. So I'm with you, Rachel. And I wish I did. And then,
do you want to talk about any of these other events, or is there other things you want me to dig into?
Yeah, absolutely. If you scroll back up a little bit, you'll see I touched on it before about for the alcohol. There's the Smirnoff there right under LaCroix. And there's fruit in I think it's in the third row. Yeah, there you go. There are about 3 different images. This was a Smirnoff zero sugar moment. And so you can see this is a close up where we were able to take different fruits from the alcohol that they were promoting and integrated into the wall. So
beautiful.
It was exciting putting this one together to get a little bit creative. And there are faux elements in this, fresh elements. So it really shows how you can, mix things together, and it creates a really beautiful moment. And then there's also that cutout that looks like their bottle and logo. And again, this is a moment where you have the logo. You're thinking about it when someone stands in front of it to take a picture. What part of the logo will you be able to see? So it really does some advertising for you when you're in front of it. I'm
sure people wanted to get their perfect shot in front of that.
Exactly. And then LaCroix is a really good example of moments that we do where there's zero floral and it's a little bit more interactive. So this was for a tennis event, and you can see we provided the entire setup, including the props. So you give something for someone to pose with, because after a while, people that are going to these events, they've been to a million of them, and seen it all. So it's usually helpful. It's like, okay, I have something. You can see in the corner, there's the big cans. There were the tennis rackets, so it was on theme for the event. So they really can start to do fun things. And I think it's the same thing when you think of like a regular photo booth that this all really started with. The more props you have, the more into it you're going to get. So that's kind of where that came from. And then another really popular one I would say is the first row where it says "Represent Love." This is for Tinder. This is one of my favorites. Again,
so beautiful. Are these real roses?
Real roses. That's the number one that we get, and that's in their gradient. And Tinder's wonderful. They come to us. They tell us what their event is about, but we really get that creative liberty to come up with something really unique. So this was for a karaoke event that they did at one of the museums. It was a fundraiser. And so you'll see we have disco balls on there. We have their logo. And then we also represent them from a gradient perspective. And Represent Love was the hashtag of the event, which, as we all know, when you're putting something on Instagram, it's all about the hashtag. So we were able to get that in the moment as well. Beautiful.
And where was this event?
Oh, goodness. I know it was at one of the museums. I feel like it was at the Guggenheim, but I would have to double check. That was a few years ago. So
tell me about this lucite, beautiful lucite box here.
Sure. So I put those on our idea slate because we were talking about pivoting and, the year of 2020. So prior to COVID, we already did some editor gifting to where if a company was launching a product, how can we display it? Because editors receive a million things. I never realized it until I started working at Be Floral, but they get so many things. So it's how can we send something to them where it really says, look at me and put me on Instagram. So this was for a Kate Spade fragrance. It's a branded lucite box that you can see at the top, florals inside, and then you can see their fragrance. So again, this started with learning about what's in this fragrance, what does it have to do with, what can we put it together, and they were able to open this lucite container. And what I love about the lucite is everything's about sustainability. How can I use this again? So this isn't something you have to throw away. And you can see that too. There's another gifting on our idea slate. I think it's right next to this one where you'll see we put everything in a basket. This was a not so basic fall mailer. So one of our brands, Ola Henriksen, they were launching some new product during COVID times. How products are still launching. How do we get them to influencers? How do we get them to post about it? So they came to us. We kind of understood what their brand was about. As you can see, it's citrus. So that's why you'll see the orange, the lemons. I
love this. This is so cute.
I wanted to get on the list for this one. It didn't happen, but I love this one. I know it's hard to see exactly from this picture, but we had all the materials for them to make a mocktail, as well as the recipe. And there was a flower press in there, as well as a blanket. So I know you talked a little bit before about pivoting and how we get through 2020. This has really been a way for Be Floral to stay very true to our brand and to continue to work with the same types of clients, but how do we bring these things to everyone's homes? And so we've been spending a lot of time building gifting like this to go along with virtual events to make it a little more hands-on.
Yeah, and again, if you get a gift like this, I know sometimes we get event professional, appreciation, and they send things. You feel compelled to share it because you see how much time someone put into making this, not just a basket of fruit, but such a beautiful experience that I'm guessing many people did share this on Instagram.
Yes, it was a very popular one.
Yeah, and of course you want to get the tag and everything like that. So, and tell me about this photo here, and then I'll move on to Michelle after this.
This, believe it or not, was for a PayPal Venmo holiday party last year. So this is a really good example. I threw this in there because I talk a lot about branding, but sometimes it's just about the moment and just about that FOMO factor that Rebecca was talking about. People, this is another one along with the Mrs. Maisel wall that they gravitate towards. So this was a taxi. It was at the Altman building. And we just decked it out in an explosion of florals. So there are tons of pictures with people with the taxi, but there are tons of photos of just this moment on its own. And it got so much buzz. And I thought it was really neat to see, like, it doesn't have to include a logo. It was a holiday party, so it wasn't really about the branding. It was about when you walk into the room, what makes you go, wow.
Yeah, and I think it's just so memorable, and the contrast of these stunning florals against a very iconic yellow taxi, I think is just so creative. I love this one. I agree with you. It doesn't have to be overly branded because you don't want it to feel like, oh, there's the Instagram moment. You want it to feel true to the event and part of the experience. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So wait, let's move on to Michelle, and then we'll come back. Michelle, first of all, I just need to brag on your profile page a little bit. It is so stunning, as all of our guests have beautiful, beautiful profile page. We just added these multiple cover photos so that you can get a better sense of all indoor events, outdoor events, small, large, just beautiful, beautiful, stunning events. I'm just going to scroll down here. You also have that amazing video that welcomes people to your page, and you have these beautiful, beautiful events. I was just going to dig into this first one. This outdoor party in New Orleans. Michelle, do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yes. So this was actually our rebranding party that we did in July. And to Jennifer's point, you want it to be beautiful, but not overly branded. So how we focused on that was we used the colors from our color palette for our brand to bring in the branding elements. On the paper suites, we used my logo just to add a little touch of branding. So the invitations were highly branded when guests knew.
So beautiful.
When they were, thank you so much. When they were receiving an invitation, it was by invite only because of coronavirus. But when you sat down, everything was based around the color palette and keeping things very luxe. Where if you looked at it and you knew that it was luxurious, however, it still looked very simple and Instagram worthy. We had to tell people put their phones away. They just kept taking pictures. Signature drinks when people arrived, they received hot towels for their hands so we can make sure the germs were down. Everyone received customized hand sanitizer. So each person had their own hand sanitizer, their own face mask that stated their comfort level. And then we wanted to play on the food. Also, each person received their own tray of appetizers when they were seated. So you received your own food. So there was no passing, no cross-contamination between guests. And then once we got to the dinner portion of it, like just everything was so thought of. Every detail was, I wanted the food to be bright and colorful because it was separate from our brand. Our brand is very muted and classic when we speak about the colors of it. So we just wanted things that played off the location that we were in. The Pharmacy Museum is one of my favorite venues in New Orleans, and I do many events there. And so having my rebranding event, it was the perfect location for it. And having all of these moments that were so Instagrammable and all of the details and all of the layers.
The food is just it's like art. I mean, it's just beautiful. Yeah.
That was one of the things. It was where stunning design meets culinary artistry. It was actually kind of the theme we went towards for this event.
Wow. And you also had this beautiful kind of arch here. I'm assuming people love taking pictures of this.
Yes, the arch was a big hit. And funny because the florist who did this event, which was Leaf and Petal, her and I kind of went back and forth because I didn't want any florals because I didn't want it to look too wedding-y. And so I was like, no, just candles. I just want to keep it super clean. And she was like, but I'm going to do a few florals. And I was like, but no flowers. And so we finally in the middle, she would just do florals really low around the arch and just keep the greenery up top as a compromise. And then once I saw it, I was like, God, I should have let her take the lead on that.
Yeah, sometimes people know best how to show you. And then I also talk about the importance of, especially for your own branded events, getting pictures of yourself that you can use for, you know, future marketing, to talk about what you do and show you in action, which I think is really great. So I love seeing that. It just looks beautiful. And again, celebrating safely and having the masks and having the hand sanitizer is just, you know, so important in this day and age.
It was a fun event.
Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca. Let's talk a little bit about some of your Instagram-friendly moments. I have to start with this one because this one, I think, exploded when we put it on our Instagram and tagged you. Tell me a little bit about this photo.
This was produced actually by Megan on our team, and she worked with a company. So the mom wanted a jungle theme, and we wanted it to be interactive for the kids and stimulating. And so we worked with a company out of Houston to design this tree so that way all the little explorers could sit underneath it and put on their little safari hats and their animal masks. And again, one of those moments where the entire family were going crazy photographing because the kids look so cute as little jungle explorers underneath their tree. So yeah.
So adorable.
So going back to what the ladies have been talking about in terms of branding, you know, we don't necessarily have a look because we're the planners. So we're using different designers and artists that are out there, but we're trying to tell the story of our clients. And so you'll see in a lot of these, like the personality coming out, and that's where we find it's our job to tell the story of, like, you'll see the couple that's got the usher shirts on. They were actually the ushers for the wedding. And so the bride and groom were fans of Usher, but thought it would just be hilarious rather than have their guests dress in tuxedos like a normal usher would at a wedding to wear Usher shirts. And so, you know, we wanted to incorporate that personality and just kind of show some uniqueness that tells the story of our couple and not necessarily just the design. So we're constantly looking for those Instagrammable moments. I
love this one. It's so beautiful with the starry kind of lights in the sky. So stunning.
We're really proud of that one because that's actually a planner on our team's wedding. She was a COVID bride and got moved from her amazing Cabo wedding back to Houston. And so we needed to do something amazing for her and something that was romantic and had a destination kind of feel. And so we worked with a local team to create that light canopy, and it came to life, and it was just watching it go from daytime to nighttime. It was just spectacular. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I think you see a lot of the kind of the starry lights and the twinkle lights, and I think what I love about this one is kind of the geometric view of it's just not like a flat top that you can really, almost like a tent that you're walking in. It's just so beautiful, and I can imagine on Instagram this did well.
Oh, it did fantastic. And then, of course, like we were saying with the FOMO moments, the selfies went crazy. Everyone there was wanting to get a picture with it. And then we've seen it being used a few times now since then in Houston. So we love that. We love our vendors are getting extra miles out of it too. It was beautiful.
Absolutely. And I know how important it is to, on Party Slate, you tag all your creative partners, but on Instagram as well, not only in your posts, but really building those stronger relationships with the people you work with by, tagging them and giving them credit for their part of the creativity, which is beautiful. Yeah. I know people photos are really important, and we always say balance your decor and kind of detail shots with people photos. Something like this where you see kind of the beautiful bridesmaids in the back and the bride and the flower growers here. I can imagine people really love to engage with things like this.
I love it. I mean, kids and animals on our page incorporated in the wedding, people go crazy for. So yeah, this one gets double feedback because people are enthralled with the kids, but then they're enthralled by the number of bridesmaids and housemaids.
I lost your sound for 1 second. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay.
Hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yes. So you were just saying that the people shots do well are very important too.
Right. Well, that particular shot I was saying, you know, they love the kids, but they're also enamored by the size of the wedding party. So we get lots of comments about that.
Yeah, that is a big wedding party, larger than you normally see. But some people have huge families, and a lot of people they want to include. So more power to them.
Right. Right. That's pretty normal for us in Texas. That's a normal average size bridal party there.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't realize. Like, so how many people on average do you have at in your bridal party?
Probably 12 is average, and then 20 up to 20, 22 on the high end.
Okay. Well, yeah, go big or go home in Texas.
And that's
right?
bridesmaids. So with groomsmen, that's 44.
Oh.
Okay. So yeah, that doesn't happen in Chicago.
Or New York. No New Orleans.
No New Orleans. So back to, let's talk a little bit more about, you know, Instagram and sharing, you know, that when the pandemic hit, you know, it was a little, it was a weird time. Like, so what do you share? What don't you share? You know, how do you talk differently? You know, we were very, very careful because we don't want to be tone deaf to what's going on. So I'm wondering if each of you could talk a little bit about, yet we feel very important to be part of the conversation. And we know for a fact, because our organic traffic is going up so much, that people are planning and want to be inspired, even if they can't do it right now. I know some states can, some states can't. So how did you change kind of your Instagram experience of what you share during this kind of, you know, challenging time? Maybe Rachel, you could start since you're the social media owner for your company.
I would love to. So I think that the biggest thing that I've learned as far as providing content would be to always keep it, again, it's so important not to be tone deaf. This is a crazy time for so many people. We're all affected in very different ways. I think what our job is to do is to kind of present a story and have it be a complete story and be honest. Say, this couple, God bless them, they had to do, three tries of this date. And here they are, and even though they're in their PPE stuff and they have, a sanitizing station, how happy do they look? And that's, the message that I think we're all trying to send. And we've been lucky that, we have had couples who are, excited to integrate disposable face masks into their parties. And then I would say another huge lesson to learn when you're planning, especially with, all of these mandatory mandates that go, week by week, they were changing, especially in the beginning of the pandemic. We encourage a lot of people to remove the date from their decor. And, that's just when you receive it, great. I have to redo my whole entire wedding party, and I've got these gorgeous napkins that I designed. Can't use them. So I would say that's the very first thing that we did. We started reaching out and said, hey, here's how it looks without a date. And I think we had this little saying that we had around the office that was, you don't need a date to be great. So just having all of these pieces of decor, even though it's so nice to have a piece of souvenir that has the date, your venue most likely won't change. The love,
it's no longer safe to put a date on anything.
No dates. Yes. Just don't do a date. Just don't do
a date. Yeah. I think a lot of the rules are being kind of thrown out this year. Thursday night, Sunday night. There's going to be a lot of new things that happen that maybe will free us from some of the things that you have to do it this way. Well, this year is going to be 2021 is going to be different. Jennifer, tell us a little bit about from your perspective, your thinking on this.
Sure. So I will say Claudia Kish, she is our VP of PR and marketing, and she's done an amazing job. So I can't take credit for our Instagram. So throwing out that credit where it's due. We really, took a pause to figure out. At the beginning, it was like, this really feels like it's never happened. Like, what do we do? Like, if we just keep going like nothing's happening, does that seem odd? It's a bit tone deaf. Like you said, there are a lot of things that have happened this year where I think people had to stop and say, like, how are we going to take this? And I think putting that positive spin on not ignoring it. We did some throwbacks to keep, that vision out there, because we know creatives, they're still thinking, they still have a job to do, and looking forward. And I think going back to what I was saying on our idea slate, just the gifting options that you don't have to stop. And here's how you can still use us. Here's how we can keep going and help you achieve your goals. We work a lot with PR firms. And so very often their end clients are coming to them and saying, we're launching this product. It's still launching. What do we do? So reaching out to our clients and saying, like, we are here for you. Come to us. Let's ideate together. You don't have to come to us with it all figured out. And I think that's where we've seen the progression of wiggling through what works, what doesn't work. Shipping during COVID is very interesting. Shipping during COVID, during the holidays, even more interesting. So we were doing holiday wreath kits. We have a live class tonight, actually, with a group, and it was a learning curve. So I think this has taught everybody to be honest, and I think it broke people down a little bit. And working with your partners of, we're all in this together. Nobody really knew what they were doing because no one's had to know how to function here. So I think that's really the approach that we took, was stop and think if you don't know what to put out there before you just start. We have to have content. So
we had a couple of weeks of digesting it all before we came out with our digital event program. We came out with reposting. We decided to celebrate all our past launch events and our event partners, and that was a way to share large scale events, but more in a nostalgic way of thinking about, our New Orleans launch party, our Palm Beach party, all these things, Hamptons, how great they were, but it wasn't like, we're having a big party, and not being tone deaf. So I think that's a really good point. Michelle, how did you approach it, social media, when the pandemic hit?
So we approached it by celebrating our clients, because they were going through a rough time. So we would repost their engagement sessions and celebrate their new wedding date on our Insta story, and write just a little story about how we've been working together. And it got them really excited about it. And then we partnered with Over the Moon, and then they started sharing their engagement stories, and then their engagement stories were being featured and their new dates were being featured. So it just kept our clients really excited. Even though they had moved their dates, they were really excited about it. So we use that as our way to keep fresh content on our Instagram, and also celebrating our clients at the same time, and then adding a little feature in there, never hurt.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, people, obviously, your clients, which ones like it and which ones don't, but a lot of clients, they want to be celebrated. We have people coming to us, like, how do I get my wedding on PartySlate? How do they want, and there's some that are very private. We understand that. But in general, it's their special moment. They put so much time and energy and thought into it, and they want to be part of the conversation. So I think it's a win-win. It's great content, but it's also relationship building with your clients. And I'm assuming they would tag their wedding party and other people, or reshare. And that's another great way to get your brand out there to potentially new clients, which is great. Rebecca, how about you? How did you face this when it first hit?
We definitely did what Michelle did. We were reminiscing with our clients and kind of hoping for, better days ahead. And then when we got a little bit of distance from the initial impact, we took that time to kind of re-announce, show our team and meet people, and engage more with our followers, just trying to do more surveys, more polls, more questions, just getting people to engage more, because we weren't able to get out there with them. So we were trying to do it from our couches. So
I like those polls. I don't know. I should do more of them, because I'm like anytime I see one, I'm like, oh, it's a poll. I want to interact with it, and then I want to see what the answer is. So maybe, I guess, obviously other people do that too.
It goes back to that FOMO. You can't miss out. You have to be a part of it.
You want to be a part of it. Absolutely. So maybe we have about 10 more minutes. I know this has gone so fast, but I would love to hear what you think about when events start opening back up again. I know some places have been having events the whole time, but open up to, where they used to be. What do you think might be, different, new Instagrammable opportunities, in 2021? And maybe we'll start with Jennifer, and we'll go around.
I think what we've learned at the beginning is everybody was still going virtual. And there was this thought for a second, well, in-person events disappear, especially when it comes to corporate. And I think for a little while, people were like, oh, maybe. And then as time went on, we realized there's Zoom fatigue, there's just virtual event fatigue. So I think what's going to be different is the experiential market was booming to begin with, and now it's going to explode. So I agree. People want to be with other people. Virtual events are amazing. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think it's going to be hybrid. And that's really to answer your question. What's going to be different is now we went from just viewing a moment and decor to in-person. Then we switched to in-person and what does it look like when you take a photo? Now it's going to be those two plus how do we show this on a virtual platform? Yeah. So I think that's the new challenge, especially for someone who focuses on decor, is how we're going to meet all three of those requirements because they are different. Yes. But I think that's so exciting. And I get excited just talking about it because we're used to being on site, and we've done one actual backdrop for a virtual event for Bloomingdale's. And it was like Christmas for our design team because they were there, they were building it. So I can just imagine, I feel like the requests are going to be rolling in.
Yeah, I kind of think of it as like, again, back to red carpet, where they started doing live red carpet, not just on TV, but on your computer or through the app. They started that trend even, well before this hit. Now I think it's going to be next level. Like, no, you can't be at that, perfume launch, but you saw it on Instagram and, oh, you can, periscope in and actually see what's going on at that event through the virtual technology. And then of course, for the marketer, you get to capture an email address, which is, it's a really great opportunity. So I completely agree that the hybrid event is going to be, I know it's not very buzzwordy, but I really do believe that the cost of technology has gone down to such an extent that it isn't that expensive to actually do that. And of course, hire an AV partner that's good at this, but you still, like for a large brand, spending an extra $10,000 to do this type of engagement is really worth it. So Michelle, tell me about, we talked a little bit about kind of the Instagrammable moment and trends that you're seeing. What do you think is next in 2021?
I'm just going to have to piggyback off of what Jennifer said. Hybrid events, virtual events, but with a twist with gifting. So we have coming up where the guests that unfortunately cannot make it to the event, they're getting gift boxes. So when they're enjoying the virtual event, they can follow along as if they're at the event. So they get all of the bells and whistles of being there, except they're doing it from the comfort of their living room. So just adding in those touches. So like now clients are putting a little bit more money towards the guests that can be there to enjoy the experience as well, to just make it great for those in person and those that can't be there.
And for those fundraisers, I think people are really learning because they can't afford not to have their fundraiser, that the gift box, I think will really continue, especially for big donors and people that can't be at the in-person event. I'd heard of an example through a big planner in DC who said that after someone got a gift box, they said, you guys are just so on it. This has been such a tough time. Thank you for making me feel included, and wrote a $25,000 donation check. And so, it's just showing like the extra touches. Yes, they do cost money, but I always tell my nonprofits that I work with here is like, sometimes spending a little extra money will get that engagement and that dedicated, that attention to actually help them donate more. And so that is kind of the way it works. And Rebecca, how about you? How are you thinking about 2021 and what's going to change?
Well, I think, I was talking with another group of creators recently, and we were talking about how the market had just kept going and going. And we're getting a fresh start again, like the restart. I think you think about all of us that have had the last 11 months, sitting at home and just letting our imaginations go crazy. I think we're all like caged animals at this point. When the opportunity arises, the amount of parties, the creativity with the parties, I think it's just going to be next level. I think we needed a break going to reset, and we got it. And I think it's going to be amazing to see what comes out of it.
I'm really excited. And I do think doing some of the meetings and the prep time through Zooms and other things that we maybe did in person, I think that will also, yes, I was a road warrior before, but maybe we could cut back travel 30% or a little bit so that we can, have more family time or time at home to recharge. I think that will change too in a positive way. And Rachel, what are your thoughts on 2021?
Yay. My thoughts are bring it on, please. No, but my thoughts have been, we've been actually really, really impressed with the initiatives that different small, even entrepreneurs to, mid-sized businesses that are reaching out to us, doing branded content for launches, brand launching. I think a lot of what 2021 is going to be about reconsidering the customer experience, the brand experience, the guest experience, and how you can kind of make it more Instagrammable, make it that piece that you will be remembered by. Yeah. And I think that every single celebration is going to rock in 2021.
I think 2021, second half of the year, we're very optimistic. And I think 2022 is going to be like the roaring 20s. And I think there's going to be a different level of appreciation of celebrating milestones, celebrating employees, celebrating these fundraisers that have been working so hard. It is very hard for them to raise money without these events. I can tell you firsthand and how they really stepped up during this pandemic and all the event professionals that helped them do that. I think that's amazing. So I know my executive producer, I like to pretend I have an earpiece, but I don't really have an earpiece. I have this my show, right? So the last 8 or 9 minutes that we have left, I love each of you to share one, either lesson learned or silver lining that you could share with our group. And we have a mixture today of event professionals of all different kinds, but also party hosts, corporate planners and others. Tell us one kind of lesson learned or silver lining of the pandemic. And maybe let's start with Rebecca this time.
I think for me, first of all, I feel like I got a law degree. I learned how to read contracts better and write contracts better and negotiate contracts better for my clients. And I think as an industry, I think we've all improved on that level. I think the biggest silver lining for me was seeing the community of the events team just globally come together. From being able to engage in platforms with PartySlate, where you guys have been putting on fantastic knowledge for us on almost a weekly basis. Yes. I think it's grown our community so strong. I see people helping each other more. I was fortunate to go help another wedding planner out of Montana that probably in a normal year I would not have been able to do. So I think my silver lining was just really the community that came together, that COVID brought together for us, and being able to do things like this and meet new people. And that's my silver lining.
I agree 100%. Like our digital events and the community, I feel, and I mainly do geeky kind of digital marketing topics because we have so much knowledge that we have and we want to share. We want to help people build stronger digital brands. Like we have had an outpouring of thanks from people, and that feels so good because we didn't know how to help at the beginning. What can we do? We're all suffering, and that's kind of what we've leaned into, and that's definitely been a silver lining for us. So I agree, it's that community. Michelle, what about your silver linings or learnings during this challenging time?
For me, it's just been for every low moment, there's been a high moment that came right behind it. So I feel like where I am or where we are in the world is exactly where we're supposed to be. And life is a journey, and we just trust it. And we will all end up where we're supposed to be when the time comes. It has been a difficult year for everyone. For me, I mean, we went 6 months without an event. And throughout that time, we were just sitting at home. And so when events did start back for us, it was like the first one, we arrived on site so early and we were like, why are we here so early? It's just that feeling that you get. So it's like, even though we've had these moments where nothing has really been happening or we've been uncertain about what was going to happen, when it came back, it felt like it was the first time. And for me, that's the silver lining. Is like when it does come back, I know it'll be even better than it was before.
Yeah. We can, and it is a hard industry. You guys, working so hard, and a lot of times weekends, and sometimes it can be a thankless job. But I think it's the people you create with and your clients that really, make it worthwhile week over week to create these really, magical experiences. So Jennifer, tell us about your either silver lining or lesson learned during this pandemic.
I would say, building off of what Rebecca and Michelle said, the word that comes to mind is appreciation. Like you had just mentioned, everybody's in such a rush. We're so busy. We were at the height of how busy we've been, and you don't have a chance to breathe, and you just keep going. And our team is phenomenal, and we all just keep going. And I think when it stopped, we were all like, "Whoa," because we were the same way, Michelle. We didn't have a single in-person. We haven't had a single in-person event. And so I think the silver lining was like taking a step back and appreciating the time for personal development. I think our team is always learning on the fly, but this gave us a chance to tune into seminars like Party Slate has hosted and learn from other people, because I think that's something that as a planner and somebody in planning, we strive to learn from each other, but who has the time for that usually? Yeah. So using that, reconnecting with our teams, re-looking at our process and going through, we've had this laundry list of like, this is all the things we want to tweak, but who has time to tweak these things unless you're doing it at 3 a.m. So we tackled that. And I think the best thing was when we had to figure out how do we still support our clients when they needed us, and realizing we rock, and like so does everyone else in the industry, that we figured it out and people kept going. I think it's been hard, like Michelle said, it's been hard for everybody. It's not the same, it's not normal, but we've chugged along. And seeing what we've been able to bring in, and not even from a financial perspective, but from a support perspective for our clients to achieve and let them, achieve a goal for their end client, has been really exciting.
Yeah, and they won't forget you guys stepped up with these new ideas. And I think the relationship building, like you said, maybe they're not as profitable, the revenue of these big events aren't there, but you're still cementing relationships, and you're still allowing your teams to create. And I keep reminding people, this is such a creative industry. And when people stop creating, I think that's the hardest part, is really that feeling of missing out on that. Rachel, we only have a couple minutes left, but let's hear from you on any silver lining, and again, I know your business has done, quite well helping people to try to be able to celebrate again with the safety gear that is so beautiful.
So I think, to piggyback on what you just said, the ability that we have integrated these really great high quality pieces of PPP, especially our disposable face masks. A big silver lining has been all of the extras that we make from every order. I believe we're at a little bit above 8,000 plus that we've been able to donate to local charities and foundations. Have a great team of people that I work with that have been able to take this and adapt. And I think that's the biggest thing that we've all done as an industry.
Well, you guys are all an inspiration to me. You've taken your creativity, you've stayed relevant. Your Instagram has not slowed down in any sense. Yet you're not tone deaf to what's going on. So I think just staying relevant and being part of the conversation, connecting with your partners and your clients, even more important to do it during this challenging time. So congratulations to all of you guys. We're going to make it through this 2021. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm so excited. Our next session, I get to take a little breather because my editor's taking over. We are doing the most popular events on Party Slate from 2020. So that is going to be a great session. And then after that, we wrap up our 2-day conference, giving our Impact Award to an amazing planner, Joanne Grigoli, for all her help and all her amazing work she's done to help with the pandemic, the people fighting the pandemic, the first line, first responders in New York. So she's an inspiration. So thank you guys. You're amazing. I had so much fun. And please stay with us for our next panel. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Guys.